What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at the XF90. It's a 90mm micro drone, if you couldn't already tell. The price point puts it into the budget category. Hopefully the performance does not. To get you started, the XF90 comes with its own battery and battery charger, but you will need to install your own receiver. It's a nice looking frame. I'm really loving the design. I actually have a couple larger drones that look pretty much just like this. The little canopy on top of my other drones do a great job protecting the camera, and all the components are safely placed inside. But on the XF90 the antenna sticks out, so that's kind of unfortunate. Here are some of the specifications on this quad. It looks like it's geared towards those who are starting out or those who are not looking for the most powerful drone but are still wanting something with good components. Not much to unbox here. There's the quad itself, a battery, and the charger. That's it. Alright, let's jump right in, starting off with the frame. Let's get some measurements on the thickness of these carbon plates. The main plate is 1.5 millimeters. All the other carbon pieces look the same, so I'm guessing they're all 1.5 too. Yep, 1.5. And let's see how much space we have in between the top and the bottom plates. Looks like it's around 21 millimeters. Yeah, let's just round up to 21 millimeters. And the space between the two side plates is, wow, the same thing. It's 21 millimeters. Let's see how much it weighs. 66 grams, so pretty much what you would expect out of a micro in this size. Normally I'll see 90 to 95 millimeter micros coming in around 60 to 70 grams. As you can see, I have my receiver tied to the side of the canopy. This is because that's the only place that I was able to get it to fit. Although I'm sure if I cleaned up the wires a bit, it would fit in between the boards or right above the flight controller without problems. Initially, I was having doubts that the frame was even carbon. It's highly flexible and, well, it just didn't look like carbon. But that's only because there's a graphic scheme painted on. I did a continuity test on the side where the carbon is actually exposed, and it is indeed conductive. And conductivity is a good sign that it is carbon. So obviously the painted area is not conductive, but checking on the sides where the carbon is exposed shows that there is conductivity. Next, let's check out the motors, and they are from a company called 3B, or better known as Born to Be the Best. They're not the most well known, but my experience with them have always been positive. 3B makes really good motors, normally very high quality, and will produce comparable amounts of power to other motors in their respective sizes. The size on these motors is a little strange. This is my first time with an 0806 size. Hopefully it will be a good first time. The motors feel durable and seem to be very smooth. The quality is top notch, so I'm excited to see how they're going to perform. Paired up with the 3B motors are some 5-bladed 1935 props. I've always felt that these props produce good power, but they lack in the durability department. Once a blade bends, the entire prop is toast. Moving right along, FPV is accomplished through an all-in-one camera VTX and antenna combo, where we have an 800 TVL CMOS camera, a 40-channel 5.8 GHz VTX that is switchable between 25, 100, and 200 milliwatts. Oh, and it uses a circularly polarized antenna, which is preferable to dipoles if you plan on flying where there are lots of obstructions. The only bad thing is it sticks out past the canopy, so it's really not protected at all. The all-in-one module is securely held in place by a 3D printed camera mount, which allows you to adjust the tilt as little or as much as you want. You can go tame, you can go extreme, you can tilt it past 90 degrees if you want. And the flight controller, it's a Pico BLX, which is a mini F3, and it comes with Betaflight 315 installed. It's actually a good flight controller. It uses the MPU 6000 IMU, which allows 8K gyro sample rate, which is the fastest for an F3 board. It also has a built-in PDB, which just keeps the clutter down a bit. And connected to the flight controller is a 4-in-1 6-amp BL Heli S ESC, capable of running 1-shot up to D-shot protocols. At just 6 amps, it's on the tamer side of performance, but I think it would be ideal for beginners. I mean, people starting out would probably feel this quad has sufficient power. But I don't think it would be the same for experienced flyers. This is something you will see when I get into the flight testing portion of the video a little bit later on. You can see here that the two boards are rotated at 45 degrees on the yaw axis. The reason why they did this is to allow for the largest possible propeller size. If it were not rotated, the prop blades would not be able to clear. One last thing I need to moan about is the location of the micro USB port. You'll actually have to remove the propeller in order to gain access to the port. So really, it's just an inconvenience. A couple of miscellaneous things on the bottom of the quad. We have a Velcro battery strap. Make sure you don't damage this, because in order to replace it, you'll have to essentially remove the entire quadcopter. And the power connector used on this micro is a JST connector, which I've really never been a fan of, but it works fine, so no need to replace if you don't want to. And last of all, on the back of the micro, we have a buzzer with a built-in LED. The buzzer will alert you when your quad's battery voltage drops past a set point, a point which can be changed through the settings in Betaflight. The bright green LEDs will remain on as soon as the quad is powered up, and it will blink according to your stick's movements. And one last thing I forgot to mention is they were nice to include this little connector right here for the receiver. It's a signal ground and positive that you can use with either S-Bus or PPM. It's nice because you don't have to take the quad apart in order to install your receiver. Alright, here's a quick run through of my Betaflight settings. S-Bus is applied to UART 3. D-Shot 150 is selected, motor stop and disarm motor options are not selected, and this just means that the motors will spin up as soon as I arm with the switch. You can run gyro and PID loop rates at maximum 8K and 4K. Any higher and the CPU load would be just too high. Other features that I'm using is the LED strip. Make sure to uncheck the ones that you don't use, as they will take up resources. The quad was not tuned at all. It just came with Betaflight stock settings, which works fine. But I actually like to have my flips and rolls faster and tighter, so I bumped up some of the settings for PID and rates. If it's too fast for you, try this. This is how I have my switches set up and the LEDs. With that all done, let's head to the park and see how this thing flies. First, let's start off with some line of sight. You can see the LEDs reacting to the thumbstick. Arming the quad. And here we go. It's definitely not as powerful as some of the other micros that I've tested, especially some of the ones that I've tested recently. Let's do a punch out. It's not bad. I mean, I think it would do better using a better battery for sure, but for a 1935 prop on a 2S, it's decent. As the XF90 drops down after a flip or roll, it doesn't immediately jump back up when you hit the throttle. There's a slight delay. I mean, we're talking milliseconds, but it is noticeable. So I think I know the reason why there's a slight delay, and that's because the motors are just not very torquey. Once the XF90 picks up speed, it does get going pretty fast. When flying in a wide open area like this, these micros will feel more underpowered than it might feel if, say, I was flying indoors, where everything is in close proximity. A lower powered micro would actually be more ideal in this case, and because of this, I think this micro would make a great stay-at-home drone. I actually feel very sketchy about flying the more powerful micros like the QAV105 or FlyEgg 130 indoors. It really doesn't take much. Hit the throttle too hard by mistake, and there goes a hole in your wall. Let's check out some FPV. Well, the camera looks really good. Very good brightness and detail. I'm really surprised at how nice this camera looks. The only thing is it's a little dark on the outside corners, but hey, I'll take it. So for acro mode, the XF90 feels really nice. It's really easy to control, and as long as I keep my speed up, the low torque motors don't really give me any issues at all. Because it's so stable, it makes flying through these gaps super easy. Like this. Whoop, a little prop wash there. Time for a summary. The XF90 is a good budget micro. It's not the most powerful, but it has excellent components, like a super clear camera and super smooth motors. Because it's not crazy powerful, I think it makes for a good beginner drone, or at least for a good stay-at-home drone where you can fly through your house without the worry of putting holes in your walls. And with that being said, thank you so very much for watching. See ya.